Long ago, during a time when Israel had turned away from God, the nation found itself under the rule of a powerful enemy. For 40 years, the Philistines oppressed the people of Israel. Their armies controlled the land, and the Israelites lived in fear. But even in the middle of hardship, God had a plan. In a small village lived a man named Manoah and his wife. They had never been able to have children, and for many years they prayed for a son. One day, an angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife. The angel brought an incredible message. She would have a son. From birth, he would be dedicated to God as a Nazirite. Because of this vow, his hair would never be cut. The angel also said something even more important. The child would begin to deliver Israel from the power of the Philistines. When Manoah heard the news, he prayed and asked God to send the messenger again so they would know how to raise the child. God answered that prayer. The angel returned and repeated the message. Soon afterward, the promise came true. A baby boy was born. They named him Samson. As Samson grew, God blessed him. The Spirit of the Lord began to move within him, and Samson became incredibly strong. He was also known for making choices that often led him into trouble. One day Samson traveled through the vineyards, near the town of Timnah. Suddenly, a young lion came roaring toward him. The lion attacked. But the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson. With his bare hands, Samson grabbed the lion and tore it apart, as easily as someone might tear apart a small animal. Later, when Samson passed by the same place again, he noticed that bees had built a hive inside the lion's body. He reached in, scooped out some honey, and ate it as he walked along. Not long afterward, Samson held a wedding feast with the Philistines. During the feast, he challenged 30 Philistine guests with a riddle. He said, "Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet." The Philistines could not solve the riddle, so they threatened Samson's wife until she persuaded him to reveal the answer. She then told the Philistines. When Samson realized what had happened, he became furious. From that moment on, the conflict between Samson and the Philistines grew even stronger. On another occasion, the Philistines came to capture Samson. They tied him with new ropes and handed him over to their soldiers. But when the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson, the ropes snapped like burned threads. Nearby, he found the jawbone of a donkey lying on the ground. Samson picked it up and fought the Philistine army. With that single weapon, he defeated 1,000 men. Because of this victory, Samson became known throughout the land for his incredible strength. Samson continued to judge Israel for 20 years. One night, Samson traveled to the city of Gaza. The Philistines heard that he was there, and they surrounded the city gate, planning to capture him in the morning. But Samson woke up in the middle of the night. He went to the city gate, grabbed the doors along with the posts and bars, and pulled them completely out of the ground. Then he lifted the entire gate onto his shoulders and carried it to the top of a hill. It was an incredible display of strength. But Samson's greatest weakness was still ahead. Later, Samson fell in love with a woman named Delilah. The rulers of the Philistines came to her secretly. They offered her a large amount of silver if she could discover the secret of Samson's strength. Delilah agreed. Night after night, she asked Samson, "Tell me the secret of your great strength." At first, Samson gave her answers that were not true. But Delilah kept asking again and again. Finally, Samson told her the truth. He explained that he had been dedicated to God from birth and that his hair had never been cut. One night, Samson fell asleep with his head resting in Delilah's lap. Quietly, Delilah called for a man to shave off the 7 locks of Samson's hair. As his hair was cut, his strength left him. The Philistines rushed in and captured him. They put out his eyes and took him away to prison. There, Samson was forced to grind grain like a slave. Slowly, Samson's hair began to grow again. One day the Philistines gathered for a great celebration in the temple of their god. Thousands of people filled the temple. They brought Samson out of prison to entertain the crowd. Blind and weakened, Samson was led into the temple and placed between two massive pillars that supported the building. Samson asked the boy, guiding him, to let him touch the pillars so he could lean against them. Then Samson prayed, "Strengthen me just once more." With his hands pressed against the pillars, Samson pushed with all his might. The pillars began to move. The temple shook. And suddenly, the entire building collapsed. In that moment, Samson defeated more enemies than he had during his entire life. The story of Samson reminds us that strength comes from God. And in Samson's final moment, when he turned back to God, God answered his prayer.